Good afternoon and welcome to this week's issue of Print21, the weekly TV news bulletin from print21.com.au. My name is Wayne Robinson. This week's issue is sponsored by Ricoh. Imagine change. News in the printing industry this week is led by the wide format sector. People that print the banners, the wraps, the billboards, the soft signage like these flags behind me. Cactus Imaging, one of the premier companies in the wide format sector in Australia and New Zealand. Cactus has just put in its third Fujifilm Acuity Ultra 5 metre wide machine. 5 metre wide roll-to-roll printer. The Acuity joins two others and means that Cactus is now the world's biggest consumer of Fujifilm UV ink. It's got a strong competitor in Italy, but because of the lockdowns there, they are not getting out the volume, but Cactus meanwhile is zooming ahead, and the new machine puts it on the top spot. So great to see an Australian company doing so well. Cactus, backed by its owner U Media, which obviously it gets a fair bit of work from, and it also has its direct sales channel. The finishing department at Cactus is possibly the most advanced in the world, thanks to the innovation, the self-developed systems there by general managers Keith Farrell and Nigel Spicer. Also in the news this week in the wide format world, Vivid Ads in Melbourne, not to be confused with Ewan Donaldson's company Vivad, which is also a Melbourne wide format printer. Vivid Ads is making $1 million investment, putting in the country's first HP Stitch 1000 die sub machine. The only die sub that uses thermal imaging, highly automated. Vivid Ads has put the machine in along with a Zund cutter as part of an investment that will super speed its productivity. It will now be able to produce 100,000 square meters of fabric every month, which lifts its capacity by about 400%. Director Ferris Mammon tells me that printing was always the bottleneck in its business, but now with the super new HP Stitch in, it will now be able to cater for large runs, high volume runs, anything that comes to it. Ewan Donaldson's company, Vivad, in the meantime, anyone who's been watching the tennis will know that, of course, lockdown happened on Saturday, no crowds, but if you watch the tennis, you'll see all the seats covered in fantastic graphics, signage that has been produced by Vivad. The company did 1.5 kilometers of print, 4,500 square meters on its Durst Rotec, with the company working in two shifts, two teams working 12-hour shifts, get the job done. A fantastic example of how print can really make a difference, can bring something to life, and can respond to a real felt need. It's not all good news in wide format though, unfortunately, this week. John Duplat's company, Magnify Media, has been put into liquidation, voluntary liquidation. The company went into administration over Christmas, earned $5 million, 1.2 million to the ATO, 1.1 million to employees, including $500,000 in super. Magnify Media, well, it was a 20-year-old company. 10 years ago it was on top of the world, but it suffered a devastating flood 2 years ago from which it's never really recovered. So now, unfortunately, the company's been liquidated. That's it for this week's issue of Print21. Go to print21.com.au for all these stories and more. My name is Wayne Robinson, signing off. Thanks to our sponsor Ricoh. Imagine change.